Welcome to the Fishing for a Reason podcast. I'm Jamie.
I'm Scott.
And we are out here fishing the Resurrection Derby, day 2 on Sunday. We thought we would record a podcast episode for you guys, kind of giving you a little up to date of what's actually going on out here, how the Derby's going, how fishing is, and all the things. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to give you some real-time action, and we're looking at the camera. If a rod goes off, let us know if you can. Oh shit!
There it is. And there it is.
Alright, well, you can't let us know, but I think it's a pretty small fish. Pretty small fish. What do you think? Well, it's definitely fish, because I'm fishing bait. That's hilarious.
Are we keeping? That's the question.
It feels like it's something. Oh, it's pretty. Trying to get out of this situation.
You're right.
And what do we got? Look at you! Little pinky pink. Big spots, out of focus. Well, since that just happened, I'm going to get my gear back in the water before we finish this podcast.
Yeah, good call.
So one thing I like to do, when I'm fishing bait, because it takes a little bit of finesse to get it rigged up. Oh, let me show you guys the fish. He's a decent size. I've already. There you go. For a pink, pretty good size. You can see the nice hump on his back right here. But yeah, we'll keep him because we've kind of already.
You're gonna keep him?
He's already bleeding, so yeah. So when I'm putting my gear back in the water, and especially when I'm fishing bait, I always have a second one rigged up. Call it bait on deck. So I've got it nice and ready and rigged. I'll just swap it out real quick. Throw it in the water. Quick little trick for you, and then I'll rig up the one that I'm not using, so we have it handy for the next round. Thanks, babe. All right, so back to the podcast. It's been really fun out here. Actually, it was funny. I was going to tell you there's not a lot of pinks. People are catching pinks, but it's not been like crazy annoying. But there are definitely some pinks out here. So we've heard of a couple coho caught. Did you get one too?
I had one. I made one on the box.
Oh, 135. So anyway, that's what we're seeing out here. I'll go over our derby results so far. So yesterday, I think one of the best benefits is it's been beautiful. I mean, the weather has been stellar. It's just been calm waters, not a lot of wind, which you can never complain about. And yeah, overall it's just been really fun and pleasant fishing, even though it hasn't totally been lights out. We had 39 fish weighed in yesterday. The average was 10.51 pounds. 40 fish weighed in total last year. The biggest fish was a 30.21 pound fish. You know, there were several 20-pound fish as well. So far this derby, our biggest king, so as of yesterday, Saturday, today's Sunday, so weigh-in has not opened. It'll open from 2 to 5. Yesterday weigh-in was 3 to 7 p.m. and biggest king was 16.64. The second biggest was 16.19 and the third was a 15.17. And in order, top to bottom, those top 3 fish, you got Alan Hogan of Anacortes, Will Stunts of Oak Harbor, and Chris Long of Anacortes as our top 3 fish currently. Those will potentially hold up, you never know, but I'm hoping we get some 20-pounders today. So there's usually some big fish caught out here, and it's just hit or miss. Bellingham Bay can be on or off, but slower fishing. And let's see, what else do I need to talk about?
Talk about your fish.
Oh yeah, I caught one too.
And by the way, Jamie got one.
I'm in like 7th place.
7th place, 14.68.
14.68. And it was caught actually out here around Lummi Rocks area, a little north of it. And I'll be honest, I was inside working on the derby. I had to send out an email for the group. And so I was in there working on that, and Scott was out here managing the rods and everything. And he goes, fish! So ran out, grabbed the rod, reeled in a 14.68 pounder, which was really fun and exciting because honestly it was pretty slow. Like we touched a few dogfish, fishing bait.
Yeah, that was it. Two dogfish and
then that one fish. So it was a pretty slow day, but I mean, I'll be happy with that. It was a beautiful king. So super fun to fight. Got him in the boat. Yeah, pretty textbook. So we're out here for about a half day, and then we've got a setup for the awesome event that's happening tonight. Anything you want to add?
I suspect there's going to be more fish showing up, but right now it's just the grind, you know?
Yep, Bellingham Bay typically heats up a little bit later in the season, so late August, early September, mid-September, all through September.
I would suspect we're going to see some coho show up here as well.
So yeah, that's the scoop, but it's a really fun place to fish. I think one of the things I love about it up here is how pretty it is. It's just gorgeous. So definitely worth the haul up if you're considering coming up here and giving it a try. And you can keep 4 kings. So yeah, either way, marked or unmarked. It's a lot of fun. So let's talk about what we're using out here. This is my rig. Actually, I'll just show you one that just got demolished by a pink. But I use a JDF hood with a wire in it, and then I brine my bait and just put the fish on that wire nose into the hood, and then I'll put my double hook rig on there. The trail hook is right about at the tail of my bait. I like to use smaller bait, so I'm usually like red label or orange label herring, depending on when or what I can find this time of year. A lot of guys fish bigger bait, so the smaller bait is a little harder to get a hold of. But that's my go-to, and you can see this leader is really short. And I'll be honest, usually I tie this thing probably the length of a wingspan. The second rig that's out right now is on the length of a wingspan. But this white one has hooked up on everything for me, so it is my favorite. And when I need to shorten it for any reason, I just keep using it. So, you know, there you go. What are you using, Scott? What's been your go-to?
I've been fishing a variety of spoons, hoochies. Right now I have a Herring Aid Gold Nugget 3.0 Coyote spoon on, and Jamie's going to show you one of
Showing the coho killer demolishing.
So this was a king the other day, hit this coho killer and just absolutely bent it 90 degrees. So that was pretty exciting for guys last week. But yeah, red stripe flasher with a white lightning coho killer has been one of my go-tos this year. Also cop car, so black and white. Jamie's got another assortment of stuff. Here's I don't have this on right now for some reason. Just haven't been feeling it, but this is usually one of my go-tos. White flasher with a white squid. Then another squid, again, kind of a short leader for the squid. And this one's a green chartreuse splatterback. Caught a dogfish earlier with this. But
how long is your leader typically when you tie those?
This one is 30 inches. So about 30 inches. Or shorter. Wouldn't go any longer than that. Coho and pink, though, down by San Juan Island has been, or pinks, I should say, have been hot. Still not the big push of coho in down there yet, as far as I know. But we'll keep looking this week or next week. Marking a lot of bait, a lot of fish on the screen right now. It is 8:37. Yeah, we're going to keep grinding, and hopefully we grind out a nice salmon today. We'll see.
Yep. So we'll keep you posted on the second half of how this derby goes. We'll do a little bit of a recap. So stay tuned. Stick with us here, and we will give you the final of how all this shakes out. Hey everybody. So now we are just going to give you a little recap. It's actually, I'm recording the day after the derby, so we can give you the deets on how everything went, who won, how many fish were caught, all of the exciting things that transpired after the finale of the derby. So honestly, the weather was killer. We really lucked out and had some really calm seas, not a lot of wind. There was a little bit of rain, but overall, it was absolutely beautiful to just be out there and trolling right near the islands. And Lummi Island was stunning. So it was pretty overcast most of the time, but you'd see the sun kind of peek through and create some really unique sunbeams. It was just a really beautiful couple days of fishing. And if you are a Marine Area 7 person, and you were around for the King opener in July, we had some crappy weather. So it was so refreshing to be out there and actually just have some easy fishing and beautiful days, even though the actual fishing was pretty slow overall. So Resurrection Derby is in the books. It was fantastic. We gave away a ton of great prizes. The winning fish ended up coming in at 17.14 pounds, and Trent Keys from Anacortes was the one that actually brought in that fish. And I want to let me grab a little note here on my phone. So I ran over and chatted with the guys on the winning boat about their story and just to get a little bit of background of their Resurrection Derby history. So for those of you that don't know, we've had this derby around for a long, long time, many, many years. If you go to resurrectionderby.com under the good stuff tab, it says past derbies, and it goes all the way down to 2010. So for those of you that don't know, this derby was historically a winter blackmouth derby. When the winter season would open up, the Resurrection Derby was when the season resurrected, and it was brand new and time to kick it off. It was the first derby of the blackmouth season, and always a really exciting time for very local anglers. We had some guys that came from out of town, but overall it was a pretty locals show because winter derbies are all weather derbies, and they're usually terrible, which makes it really fun. Fun and challenging. Like you just get some crazy weather in November, December, depending on what year you fished was when it opened, because our seasons have been shrank over time, as many of you know. We no longer have a winter blackmouth season here, which is a big bummer for those of us that fish. There was a little derby series, and I think there was about 4 or 5 big derbies that people would fish. And it was the same crew would fish all the derbies in the winter. It was a blast, so much fun. And kind of our vision for this Resurrection Derby was to really bring this thing back, because it was gone. Like all the derbies were gone. And that was such a huge part of us as anglers. Like something we could look forward to doing is getting out there fishing, which we're doing anyway, but also adding a little competition to it and community, because you get together, you swap stories, you get to see friends that you haven't seen for a year, and you talk about fishing. It's great. And most of the derbies have some sort of cause attached to them. So there's always an element of community, like support. And that's one of the reasons we wanted to bring the Resurrection Derby back. It funds the Puget Sound Anglers Club's donations. We donate scholarships and money to grants for students that are working towards projects that help sustain our fisheries. So that's really what we do primarily, and where most of our donations as a club go. We also donate a lot of money to fish enhancement projects. As an example, when the Oak Harbor net pens were put in, we help fund creating those net pens, just different things that we can do to bring fishing back to our area. So anything that supports that is what all this proceeds of this experience go to. So there's a big group of us that are just volunteers. We literally volunteer all of our time, energy, and effort to put on this event. And it's not simple. Like it's really not that simple to run a derby. If you guys have never run a large event, just think of, putting something together for 250 people, and you want to get everybody coordinated and make sure they have a really seamless, fun time, and that all the communication is in order. And every single year you learn something to do and improve the next time. So this year was a big improvement from last year. It's hard to bring something back that is completely new. So as an example, last year, this was in the summer. And so it was the first time we'd ever ran a Resurrection Derby in the summer. But there's only one location, Bellingham Bay, that's a terminal fishery. It's not going to hurt anything for us to have a derby in that area, but we're running something totally new and kind of hoping that we can get the word out, and also that people are interested in having a derby that time of year. So Last year, we sold 37 tickets, $400 each. So they're boat tickets. You can have up to 4 anglers on your boat. That is how the traditional Resurrection Derby used to be in the winter. And we sold it out every single year. Max 100 boats, $400 a boat, always sold out, always had a wait list. So this next year, which was 2024, was the first year we brought it back in the summer, and we tried running the same format just to see if that would get the same support as it had when we had a winter fishery. And unfortunately it didn't. And that could have been for a number of reasons. It could have been because we were brand new to bringing it back and the marketing wasn't quite the same. And there's tons of reasons that it might not have shook out as we had wanted it to. And so we made a few changes based on feedback from anglers in 2024 when we brought it back to 2025. And we had 250 tickets sold in 2025. We switched our pricing to $100 per person because we did find that a lot of guys were like, I'm just one person. I fish on my boat by myself. I don't want to spend $400 per ticket, but for $100, heck yeah, I'll go. So we made that adjustment and that seemed to be pretty well received. We still kept the tradition of keeping it on opening day weekend. And so that's one thing that has been great is you get to this fishery and you have no idea what it's going to be like this year. That's one of the beauties of an opener is you truly have no idea because nobody's touched that water with any lines in a significant amount of time. And that's part of the excitement. So Resurrection Derby kicked off we had Friday captain's meeting, which was super great time, rockfish, bar and grill. We did a no-host captain's meeting. So if you showed up to the captain's meeting, we basically had a meeting where we kind of gave you all the guys a heads up on what was going to be there, what was to be expected for the event. And everybody was able to purchase food and beverages from the rockfish. They have an outdoor tent, which is a really cool seating area. And it was just a really great time. You get to connect, you get to mingle, you get to talk about how excited you are, tell people lies about where you're going fishing the next day, of course. Oh, where are you going to go? What are you going to use? And, there's that element of competition and fun camaraderie. So it was a great, great event. And then it kicked off at sunrise on Saturday. And you guys saw us out on the boat just in the clip before this talking about fishing and how things were going. So on Saturday, 39 fish were weighed in. The largest fish, let me grab it here, was Alan Hogan's fish from Anacortes. He weighed in a 16.64 fish. Now, mind you, last year, our largest fish was 30 pounds. And we had several fish over 20 pounds that were in the top 5 were all over 20 pounds. So it was very interesting to see the difference in fishing this year and what that means. Who knows? This is actually supposed to be a record run return. So most likely later in the season, you're going to see a lot more fish show up in that Bellingham Bay area, which makes it a ton of fun. But this year, our largest fish was 17.14 pounds, caught by Trent Keys. And it's really cool. These guys have fished a lot of the Resurrection Derbies. I'm not sure if they fished all of them, but I know they've fished several for many, many years. And I had it written down because I went and chatted with them a little bit. Wanted to know, okay, so they have this group that fishes together. How many times has your group won Resurrection? And they have won this derby 5 times. That is awesome. Totally incredible. And that is in 2014, 2015, 2018, 2020, and then 2025 this year. So pretty cool and epic to see that a long-standing derby team actually eked this thing out and won it. So it was pretty slow fishing for them too. They didn't have a lot of fish on the board at all, but when they did put one up, it was worth $10,000 to be exact. So the derby payout was, we had a ton of prizes, which made it so much fun. $10,000 for first place, $3,000 for second place, $1,500 went to the third place fish. We had a secret weight fish, which was $500, veterans, which was $250, women's $250, and then youth $250. And I do want to shout out all of those winners because it's really fun and exciting. And if you know these people as you hear them on my podcast, make sure you give them a big old congratulations. So first place went to Trent Keys. Second place went to Alan Hogan, who weighed in the biggest fish. Actually, he was literally at the dock on Saturday, day one of fishing, 2 hours before the weigh station opened, just hanging out and waiting because he knew one of the strategies you have to figure out is when you do catch a decent sized fish, it's like they're gonna lose weight the longer you have them on the boat, whether that they bleed out a little bit or just from water loss. But over time, the fish will decline in weight. So if you're derby fishing and you catch something that's a decent fish, you have that like, dang, do we keep fishing and try to get another one or two? Because usually fish are in the same area. When the bite's on, the bite's on. So you kind of want to work that zone when the fishing is good. So you have to think, okay, do I run this in right now or do I keep fishing? That's the debate. So we had the same conversation when we caught our fish. It was a decent, nice fish. And it's like, all right, the winner is only 16 pounds. Do we run this thing in or, do we wait? And I think part of our decision to wait, I just wanted to keep fishing because to go run it in would have taken quite a bit of time. A 16-pound fish, if I were to wager a guess based on last year's number, I thought for sure we would get some fish over 20 pounds in this derby. But unfortunately, we did not, and that's okay. It's just part of how it goes. That's one of the beauties of the experience is you just never know what you're going to get out there, especially on an opening weekend. So first place, Trent Keys, $10,000, 17.14. Second place went to Alan Hogan, a $3,000 fish for a 16.64 pound king. And he was actually fishing by himself. Super cool. And then Randy Gagan of Bellingham, he weighed in a fish that was 16.54 pounds. So he's also a longtime standing derby fisherman, really great fisherman. Another surprise final or late fish entry. So Jim Cook of Cedro Woolley weighed in a 16.34 pound fish. And that was pretty exciting. He won the Veterans Prize with that and also took fourth place. So that was $250. And then going down to the women's leaders, Liz Stout, who won this second year in a row. She had a 15.44 pound king and actually bumped me out of first. I was the leading women's until Liz weighed her fish in on around 4:00 on Sunday. My fish was a 14.68. And unfortunately, Liz got me. Good job, Liz. And then the child leaders, Gracie Vandermeulen of Maple Valley, got an 11.31 pound king. She was super pumped, and her family was so proud of her for winning that as well. And then we also had a secret weight, and the secret weight is determined by the Derby weigh crew. Every year they'll pick like a different method to choose it. And this year they went with the average overall weight was how they determined the fish. So the overall average weight from all of the fish weighed in was 10.95 pounds. So the winner of whoever had the fish closest to 10.95 pounds was the winner. And that was Connor Donaldson of Cedro Woolley. He had the 10.95 pounds. And so that makes it a lot of fun. It gives the guys incentive to go ahead and weigh their fish anyway, even if it's not going to be the winner, because you just never know if you could possibly win $500 for secret weight. So we had a ton of really great sponsors for the event. It was a great time. And if this is something that you would consider ever doing with your family, it's a blast. It's an absolute blast. We had a taco bar feed and the room was absolutely packed. We gave away a ton of great prizes like custom fishing rod, a glow tube. We gave away a downrigger, a whole bunch of fishing tackle, some gift cards like to Anthony's, just a ton of really cool prizes, even if you didn't weigh in a fish, but as long as you bought a derby ticket, you were entered in the raffle. So it made it really fun for a lot of different individuals. But with that wraps our Resurrection Derby 2025, and we're looking forward to next year. So if that is something that you are interested in fishing, make sure that you go to anglersunlimited.co and subscribe to our email list or hit subscribe on our YouTube channel if that's what you're watching here. We'll always be we'll always be supporting this derby, whether we're fishing it or running it. Scott and I were part of the committee this year, so we wanted to help bring this thing back. And so therefore, you guys will definitely be in the know when it kicks off with dates and details for next year. So if that's something that you do want to be involved in, make sure you head over to anglersunlimited.co and subscribe to our email newsletter, and we'll keep you guys posted on that. So yeah, it was an absolute blast. And with that, we will catch you same time, same place next week on the Fishing for a Reason podcast. Hope you guys have a beautiful weekend. Bye, everybody.